Chapter 1. A child is born in Stratford-upon-Avon. In the heart of England, nestled within the gentle curves of the river Avon, there lies a charming town named Stratford. Here, in this quaint hamlet, where the birds sang and the river flowed with an unhurried grace, a tale begins, one that will reach far beyond the boundaries of the town, crossing countries, continents, and centuries. On a bright day in late April 1564, in a humble abode, Mary Arden and John Shakespeare awaited the arrival of their new child. The air was heavy with expectation, mixed with the homely sense of a small Elizabethan dwelling. The anticipation reached its climax as the town's clock tower chimed the hour. Their child, a boy, had arrived. He was to be named William. William Shakespeare, the son of a glove-maker and a farmer's daughter, was born in an era marked by profound cultural changes. Queen Elizabeth I sat on the throne, and the country was in a period of relative peace and prosperity. Despite their humble beginnings, John and Mary had ambitions for their son in this promising environment. Their dreams, as it would turn out, were not misplaced. Young William's early years were spent exploring the town of Stratford-upon-Avon. Picture this lad with a mop of untidy hair, scampering around the cobbled streets, through the bustling market squares, and along the tranquil riverside. Picture him watching travelling troops of players perform in courtyards and town squares, the seeds of a future passion for drama being sown. His father's trade as a glove-maker brought the Shakespeare family a modest income. It also gave William access to a variety of people from different walks of life, the artisans, merchants, nobles, and ordinary folk who frequented his father's shop. These experiences would later breathe life into the characters in his plays. His mother, Mary, was a strong and resourceful woman. She taught William about nature, about the birds and bees, about the cycle of seasons, and about the folklore of the land. From her, he inherited a deep appreciation for the natural world that is evident in many of his plays and sonnets. In this nurturing environment, William spent his formative years, unknowingly on the cusp of a life that would redefine literature and forever change the world of drama. The son of Stratford was on his way to becoming the Bard of Avon, whose words would captivate millions, whose legacy would be immortal. The story of William Shakespeare begins here. With a child born in Stratford-upon-Avon, his life a blank canvas that was soon to be painted with the vibrant colours of extraordinary tales and timeless wisdom. This is the beginning of our journey into the life of a man whose words continue to echo through the ages, whose name has become synonymous with literature itself. As young William grew, so did his curiosity. The bustling town of Stratford-upon-Avon, with its constant chatter of townsfolk, colourful fairs, and travelling players, provided the perfect backdrop for a mind yearning to learn, to observe, and to understand. Life in the Elizabethan era, with its vibrant tapestry of culture and societal norms, presented a rich learning ground for the future playwright. At the tender age of 7, William was enrolled in the King's New School in Stratford, a free school for the sons of the town's citizens. Clad in a plain woolen tunic, with a satchel slung over his shoulder, young Shakespeare would step into the world of formal education. His mornings began early with the ringing of the school bell, calling students to their lessons that stretched from dawn to dusk, save for brief respites for meals. The curriculum was demanding but comprehensive. Students learned to read and write in both English and Latin. They studied the great works of classical authors like Ovid, Cicero, and Virgil, delving into tales of Roman and Greek mythology. William was no doubt influenced by these epic tales of heroism, love, deceit, and divine intervention, themes that would later permeate his own works. His teachers were men of stern demeanour, but passionate hearts, committed to moulding young minds. They instilled in him the discipline and tenacity needed to master the complexities of language and literature. Through their teachings, William started to grasp the beauty and power of words, the ability to paint pictures, and stir emotions using only a pen. Outside the classroom, the Elizabethan era was in full swing. The reign of Queen Elizabeth I brought a renewed sense of national pride and prosperity. Arts and literature flourished. Travelling troops of players often visited Stratford, their performances mesmerising the townsfolk. For young William, these shows were a source of excitement and fascination. Each actor's speech, each dramatic twist in the plot, was a lesson in storytelling that no schoolroom could provide. Moreover, the rich folklore of the region, passed down from generation to generation, provided him with a wealth of source material. The stories he heard from his mother, from the townsfolk, from the travelling players, all wove their way into his young mind, sparking his imagination. In this potent mix of formal education, cultural vibrancy, and the magic of storytelling, William Shakespeare's early life was steeped. As he journeyed through his childhood, each day was another step towards his destiny. The experiences of his early life, both inside and outside the classroom, were shaping the boy from Stratford-upon-Avon into the world-renowned bard we celebrate today. This was the second stage in the journey of William Shakespeare, a journey marked by learning, discovery, and an ever-growing love for the written word. With every passing day, the raw marble was being chiselled, soon to reveal a masterpiece that the world had never seen before. As the years passed, the young boy of Stratford-upon-Avon transitioned into the youthful promise of early adulthood. With his school years behind him, William found himself standing on the threshold of a new chapter in his life. His footsteps echoed the rhythmic dance of destiny, leading him towards an unexpected turn of events, a turn that would introduce him to love, responsibility, and the joys and challenges of fatherhood. In the year 1582, when William was just 18, he crossed paths with Anne Hathaway, a woman 8 years his senior. Anne, the eldest daughter of a prosperous farmer, was known for her comely looks and gentle demeanour. Life in the Elizabethan era often led young men and women into early marriages, and so it was for William and Anne. It was a time when marriages were arranged for economic or social reasons, yet William and Anne's union seemed to be one of affection. Their courtship was brief, hurried perhaps by the news of Anne's pregnancy. In November of that same year, the couple stood before a local bishop, their hands entwined, their hearts beating in sync as they pledged to share their lives together. The town of Stratford buzzed with whispers and speculation, yet amid it all, William and Anne began their journey as husband and wife. In the following May, the couple welcomed their first child, a daughter whom they named Susanna. The birth of their daughter marked the beginning of Shakespeare's journey into fatherhood, a role he embraced with the affection and responsibility befitting of a doting father. 2 years later, their family grew once more with the arrival of twins, Hamnet and Judith. The home that once echoed with the laughter of one child now rang with the mirth of 3. Tragically, however, their joy was not to last. Hamnet, William's only son, fell ill and passed away at the tender age of 11, a sorrowful event that left an indelible mark on the family. Yet, amid these personal triumphs and tragedies, the gears of destiny continued to turn. The young husband and father, balancing his family responsibilities, was unknowingly standing on the cusp of a remarkable journey that would lead him to London and into the annals of literary history. His early experiences, his observations of life and love, the joys of fatherhood, and the sting of loss would all find their way into his future works. The conclusion of this chapter brings us to the precipice of Shakespeare's professional life. The bard, who was once a playful child in the streets of Stratford-upon-Avon, then a diligent student, and now a loving husband and father, was poised to embark on a journey that would see him become one of the most celebrated playwrights and poets in history. This transformation didn't happen overnight, but gradually, shaped by the experiences of his early life and influenced by the people he loved and the society in which he lived. Chapter 2. The Journey to London. Time, in its ceaseless flow, is often a holder of secrets, and in the life of William Shakespeare, it kept a secret spanning 7 years, a period often referred to as the lost years. These were the years between the birth of his twins in 1585 and his emergence in the London theatre scene in 1592, a period about which history provides us with scant details. Life in Stratford-upon-Avon, after the birth of his children, seemed to follow the quiet rhythm of the seasons for William. He had his family, his friends, and a town that was familiar and comforting. Yet destiny had other plans. Like a leaf caught in an autumn breeze, Shakespeare was about to be swept away from his familiar surroundings into a world of uncharted possibilities. The exact reasons for this drastic shift remain shrouded in mystery. Some say it was a thirst for adventure, a young man's longing to explore the world beyond his town. Others speculate it was a pursuit of better opportunities for his family. Perhaps it was the allure of the theatre, the magic of storytelling that had been planted in his heart since childhood. The truth, like many aspects of the past, remains elusive. As the years rolled by, whispers of William's life during this period began to surface. Some tales suggested that he worked as a schoolmaster. Others painted a picture of him as a travelling actor, moving from town to town with a troupe of performers. There were even stories of him being a poacher, forced to flee Stratford after being caught hunting illegally on a local nobleman's land. These tales, passed down through generations, spun an intriguing web around Shakespeare's lost years. However, they remained unconfirmed, mere fragments of a puzzle that continues to intrigue scholars and enthusiasts alike. What we do know, though, is that during these hidden years, William was not idle. He was, in some way or another, honing his craft, feeding his imagination, and building a foundation for his future works. The experiences he accumulated, the people he met, the stories he heard and lived, all of these contributed to the well of creativity from which he would later draw. These hidden years, filled with conjecture and mystery, were a vital part of William Shakespeare's journey. They formed a bridge between his early life in Stratford-upon-Avon and his illustrious career in London. They were years of growth, exploration, and perhaps even struggle, shaping him into the man who was ready to take the London theatre scene by storm. As the curtain falls on this chapter of the lost years, we stand on the brink of an exciting era in William's life. A chapter filled with success, challenge, and enduring works of art. A chapter that takes us to the city of London, where our bard is set to make his mark. In the early 1590s, as spring emerged from the frosty grip of winter, a young man arrived in the city of London. This was no ordinary city, and the man in question was no ordinary man. The city was the bustling, vibrant heart of Elizabethan England, and the man, the soon-to-be celebrated bard, William Shakespeare. Stepping off the horse-drawn carriage, William found himself in a world unlike any he had known before. The quiet charm of Stratford-upon-Avon felt like a distant memory, as he was swept up in the city's ceaseless energy. The narrow cobbled streets, teeming with people, the tall buildings leaning in as if sharing secrets, the air thick with the smell of the Thames, the sounds of commerce, of laughter, of life in all its unabashed rawness. It was overwhelming, yet intoxicating. In London, the world of theatre was blossoming, fuelled by the reign of the culture-loving Queen Elizabeth I. Playhouses were springing up around the city, offering both highbrow dramas and popular entertainments. The city was alive with playwrights, actors, and audiences who hungered for new stories. It was into this world that Shakespeare stepped, a world he was destined to conquer. William's first steps into the world of theatre were humble. He began as an actor in a company known as Lord Chamberlain's Men, one of several troupes that performed in the city. Here, amidst seasoned actors and ambitious playwrights, he found a home. The stage, with its grand tales of love and heroism, of betrayal and redemption, held a mirror to life itself, a mirror that captivated the young bard. While we don't know for certain when Shakespeare began writing plays, it is likely that he started penning down his ideas during his early days in London. With his keen observation skills, his grasp over language, and his in-depth understanding of human emotions, he created narratives that spoke to every spectator, narratives that have stood the test of time. His initial works, like the historical play Henry VI, showed signs of a budding talent, a new voice in the realm of theatre that was distinctly different. The audiences responded with enthusiasm, their applause like a siren's call, pulling him further into the world of theatre. Yet these were not easy times. Life in Elizabethan England was rife with challenges. The constant threat of the plague, the fierce competition among theatre troupes, and the struggle to stay in the good graces of the powerful all added to the pressure. But as we will see, these challenges only served to temper Shakespeare, to shape him into the literary genius we recognize today. Thus, the bard's journey in London began, a journey that would lead him from being a relatively unknown actor to becoming one of the most celebrated playwrights in history. As the lights of the city danced in his eyes, William Shakespeare, the man from Stratford-upon-Avon, stood on the brink of greatness. As the days turned into months, William Shakespeare, once a newcomer to London's bustling theatre scene, gradually began to find his footing. He was no longer a mere actor in the Lord Chamberlain's Men. His mind, teeming with ideas and stories, found its outlet in the form of words, and so he embarked on his journey as a playwright. Shakespeare's earliest works were penned during a time of deep exploration, a period during which he grappled with the conventions of theatre while finding his unique voice. His initial plays, primarily histories and comedies, showed a spark of the brilliance that was yet to fully bloom. One such work was Henry VI, a historical play that sought to dramatize the tumultuous period of the Wars of the Roses. It was a brave choice for a budding playwright, but Shakespeare, ever the storyteller, breathed life into history, transforming the dusty pages of the past into a vibrant spectacle of human ambition, struggle, and resilience. His foray into comedy, particularly with The Comedy of Errors, revealed another facet of his talent. Here, Shakespeare wove a delightful tale of mistaken identities, infusing it with humour, wit, and a keen understanding of human nature. The laughter that rang through the playhouse during these performances was a testament to his ability to entertain, to touch the heart of the audience through joy and mirth. The success of these early works opened doors for Shakespeare. He was not just an actor now, he was a promising playwright. His plays drew audiences to the theatre, his words sparked conversations, his characters became subjects of discussions in taverns and drawing rooms. The name William Shakespeare began to hold a certain weight in the London theatre scene. Behind this growing success was not just talent, but also relentless hard work. Shakespeare was known to be a diligent writer, often found lost in his scripts, his quill dancing on parchment as he sculpted his stories. He embraced the long hours, the endless revisions, the ruthless critiques, all the elements of the creative process that shaped a playwright. Despite the demanding nature of his work, Shakespeare always kept an ear to the ground. He was a keen observer of society, of the everyday people and their lives. His plays were not only reflections of the grand narratives of history or farcical comedies. They were mirrors of society, echoing the triumphs, sorrows, aspirations, and dilemmas of the common people. This connection with the audience played a significant role in his early success. This period marked the beginning of a blossoming career, the ascension of a playwright who would go on to define an era. With each play, with each applauding audience, William Shakespeare was carving his place in the world of theatre. However, his journey was just beginning. The Bard of Stratford-upon-Avon was on his way, ready to create a legacy that would outlive him by centuries. As we close this chapter, we look ahead to the countless masterpieces yet to be explored, each a testament to the enduring brilliance of William Shakespeare. Chapter 3. Rising through the ranks. The theatre scene in London was a world unto itself, filled with a myriad of personalities, ideas, and an incessant pursuit of creative excellence. Among the various theatre troupes that thrived in this environment, one held a unique place of prestige, the Lord Chamberlain's Men, a troupe whose ranks William Shakespeare would soon join, marking a significant milestone in his career. The Lord Chamberlain's Men was more than just a theatre company. It was a brotherhood of actors, writers, and creative minds who came together under the patronage of Henry Carey, the Lord Chamberlain. This group was among the most respected in London, often performing at court for Queen Elizabeth I herself. To be part of this troupe was an honour and an opportunity, and for Shakespeare it was both. The exact year of Shakespeare's association with the troupe is uncertain, but it is believed that by the mid-1590s he was not only acting with them, but also contributing as a playwright. Here, amidst experienced actors and theatre enthusiasts, Shakespeare found an environment that nurtured his talent and ambition. The stage of the Lord Chamberlain's Men became his canvas, and with each play he painted a masterpiece. Working with the troupe, Shakespeare got an opportunity to rub shoulders with some of the finest actors of the time, like Richard Burbage and Will Kemp. From them, he not only learned the nuances of acting, but also gained insights into audience preferences, knowledge that was invaluable to his playwriting. Burbage's ability to bring characters to life and Kemp's flair for comedic timing particularly influenced Shakespeare's characterization in his plays. Furthermore, the support from the troupe allowed Shakespeare to take risks, to push boundaries, and to develop his unique style. His narratives became more complex, his characters more nuanced, and his exploration of themes more profound. He was writing not just for the audience, but also for his fellow actors, creating roles that challenged and highlighted their acting prowess. The association with the Lord Chamberlain's Men did more than just boost Shakespeare's career. It also gave him a sense of belonging, a camaraderie that was vital in a city far from home. He was no longer a lone writer battling the uncertainties of the London theatre scene. He was a key member of a prestigious troupe, his talent acknowledged and celebrated. Under the wing of the Lord Chamberlain's Men, Shakespeare continued to grow as a playwright. His plays drew larger audiences, his words touched more hearts, and his name became increasingly synonymous with excellent drama. From a newcomer to a reliable member of the troupe, Shakespeare was slowly but surely rising through the ranks, inching closer to the peak of his career. Yet, the journey was far from over. As we draw the curtain on this part, we stand on the cusp of a new era, an era that would see Shakespeare not just as a successful playwright, but also as a theatre owner, a businessman, and ultimately, the bard whose words would echo through the corridors of time. It was the dawn of a new century, and change was in the air. For William Shakespeare, this change was not only personal, but also professional. From being an actor and a promising playwright, he was on his way to becoming a stakeholder in one of London's most iconic theatres, the Globe. The Globe Theatre, a playhouse that has since become synonymous with Shakespeare, was not just a stage. It was a testament to the love for theatre that thrived in Elizabethan England. Built in 1599 by the Lord Chamberlain's men, it was a majestic structure that stood on the banks of the River Thames, its circular design and open roof making it a unique architectural feat. Shakespeare's association with the Globe came as a natural extension of his involvement with the Lord Chamberlain's men. As the company sought to build a theatre of their own, several members, including Shakespeare, became stakeholders. It was a bold step, a step that marked Shakespeare's transition from just an actor-playwright to a part-owner of a theatre. The Globe was more than just a business investment for Shakespeare. It was a platform that offered him unprecedented creative freedom. As a stakeholder, he was not merely presenting his plays, he was crafting experiences. The Globe's stage was his canvas, its actors his tools, and the audience his inspiration. This unique position allowed him to experiment, innovate, and elevate his artistry to new heights. Shakespeare's plays, performed in the Globe, captivated audiences like never before. The experience of watching a play at the Globe, under the open sky, with the playwright himself part of the troupe, created a unique bond between the bard, his work, and his audience. The Globe became a home for his stories, a space where his characters came to life, captivating the city of London and beyond. The status of being a stakeholder also brought with it added responsibilities. Shakespeare was now involved in the administrative and financial aspects of running a theatre. From casting decisions to managing finances, from ensuring smooth operations to resolving disputes, his role went beyond the realm of creativity. These experiences enriched him not only as an artist, but also as an individual, adding new dimensions to his understanding of the world. Becoming a stakeholder in the Globe Theatre was a milestone in Shakespeare's career. It marked his rise from the ranks, solidifying his status as a prominent figure in London's theatre scene. Yet, amidst the successes and the responsibilities, Shakespeare never lost sight of his true passion, storytelling. He continued to write, to create, and to dream, filling the Globe with tales that would leave an indelible mark on the canvas of literature. As we conclude this part, we stand on the threshold of a period of prolific creativity in Shakespeare's career, a period that would witness the birth of plays that would transcend time, becoming an eternal part of our cultural heritage. And as Shakespeare once wrote, "All the world's a stage, and his stage was just getting bigger." As the 16th century gave way to the 17th, William Shakespeare was at the zenith of his creative powers. With the Globe Theatre as his stage and the world as his muse, he embarked on a journey of artistic exploration, penning some of his most enduring masterpieces during this period. At the dawn of the new century, Shakespeare seemed to have found a perfect harmony between his craft and his audience. His understanding of the human condition, combined with his mastery over language, resulted in a series of plays that resonated deeply with theatre-goers of the time. Among the first of these turn-of-the-century masterpieces was Hamlet. A tragic tale of a prince tormented by his father's ghost, Hamlet was an instant hit. Audiences were captivated by the complexity of its characters, its exploration of existential themes, and its iconic soliloquies. In Hamlet, Shakespeare had created a character whose inner turmoil and quest for truth struck a chord with many, making it a timeless classic. Following the success of Hamlet, Shakespeare produced one masterpiece after another. Othello showed the destructive power of jealousy, while King Lear portrayed the tragic consequences of pride and folly. Macbeth, on the other hand, was a chilling exploration of ambition and guilt. These plays were not mere entertainments. They were thought-provoking reflections on the human condition, demonstrating Shakespeare's understanding of our deepest emotions and our most profound dilemmas. His comedies, too, such as Twelfth Night and Measure for Measure, were met with widespread acclaim. These plays, filled with wit, humour, and a touch of romance, provided a counterbalance to his tragedies, showcasing Shakespeare's versatility as a playwright. The reception of these plays was overwhelmingly positive. People thronged to the globe to watch Shakespeare's latest offerings. His ability to combine entertainment with deep philosophical introspection was appreciated by both the nobility and commoners. Shakespeare's fame spread far beyond the city of London, making him a celebrated figure in the world of theatre. Moreover, his fellow actors and playwrights admired him. His mastery of storytelling, his command over language, his ability to create compelling characters, all were praised by his contemporaries. He was no longer just an actor and a stakeholder. He was a master playwright, a bard who had forever changed the face of English theatre. The turn of the century was truly a golden period in Shakespeare's career. It was a period of creative triumph, a time when he brought to life stories that would captivate generations to come. As we end this chapter, we marvel at the genius of this man from Stratford-upon-Avon, a man whose words continue to inspire, provoke, and entertain. And as we turn the page, we delve deeper into the life of William Shakespeare, the man behind the masterpieces, whose story is as compelling as the tales he spun. Chapter 4. The Globe and Beyond. As the new century unfolded, so too did a new chapter in the life of William Shakespeare. It was a chapter marked by a monumental structure that stood tall on the south bank of the River Thames, the Globe Theatre. Not just a building, the Globe was a home, a refuge, a place of creative exploration, and an iconic symbol of Elizabethan theatre. The Globe Theatre was unique for several reasons. Its open-air design, with its circular form and large stage, offered a novel experience for the audience. This architectural marvel allowed for a closer connection between the performers and the audience, breaking down barriers and making the theatre a shared experience for everyone. But for Shakespeare, the Globe was more than just an architectural marvel or a novel experience. It was the embodiment of his journey as an artist. From his early days as a budding playwright in Stratford-upon-Avon to his rise through the ranks in London's competitive theatre scene, every step had led him here, to the heart of the city's vibrant artistic life. As a stakeholder in the Globe, Shakespeare had the freedom to experiment with his craft. He was no longer just an actor and a playwright, but also a crucial part of the theatre's decision-making process. This gave him a unique perspective and a greater understanding of the theatre's intricacies, from the play's selection and production to audience preferences. Furthermore, the Globe Theatre's prestige brought with it a wider audience. Nobility, merchants, and commoners alike filled the seats, hungry for the drama, comedy, and tragedy that unfolded on its stage. The diversity of the audience was a reflection of the universality of Shakespeare's plays, reinforcing his belief that his stories were for everyone, regardless of their social standing. For the wider Elizabethan theatre scene, the Globe Theatre was a beacon. Its success demonstrated the public's appetite for plays, encouraging other troupes to take risks and explore new themes. Its design became a model for other theatres, changing the face of public performances in England. However, the Globe was more than a stage for Shakespeare's plays or a model for other theatres. It was a testament to the collective spirit of the Lord Chamberlain's men, a symbol of their shared dream, ambition, and dedication to the theatre. And at the heart of this collective spirit was Shakespeare, whose plays filled the theatre with laughter, tears, and applause, making it a home for his extraordinary stories. The Globe Theatre was, indeed, a significant milestone in Shakespeare's career. It marked his transformation from a playwright to a theatre stakeholder, increasing his influence over London's theatre scene. But more importantly, it was a place that nurtured his creativity, a place where his characters came to life, making the audience laugh, cry, and reflect. As we move on to the next part, we continue to explore Shakespeare's journey beyond the globe, venturing into a period marked by personal challenges and the creation of his final plays. The Globe Theatre stage was the canvas for the diverse palette of Shakespeare's creative genius. Here, he painted vivid pictures of human nature, love, loss, politics, and power through a range of plays that spanned tragedies, comedies, and histories. His tragedies, dark and poignant, held a mirror to the complex facets of the human condition. From the moral downfall of Macbeth, driven by ambition and guilt, to the emotional turmoil of Hamlet, Shakespeare's tragedies plumbed the depths of human emotions. They explored the themes of power, jealousy, love, betrayal, and remorse, striking a chord with the audience and leaving them to ponder over the complexities of life. Yet, amidst the shadows of these tragic tales, Shakespeare also brought to life vibrant comedies. These plays, marked by mistaken identities, love triangles, and witty banter, provided a light-hearted respite from the heavy themes of his tragedies. Twelfth Night, As You Like It, and A Midsummer Night's Dream filled the Globe Theatre with laughter and joy. They showcased the playwright's ability to weave intricate plots, create memorable characters, and infuse his stories with humour and wit. Shakespeare also turned his gaze to history, presenting the drama of England's past to his contemporary audience. His history plays like Richard III, Henry V, and Julius Caesar brought the past alive on stage. They presented not just the political machinations and battles of yore, but also the personal dilemmas and struggles of historical figures, revealing the man behind the crown. Through these diverse genres, Shakespeare's genius shone brightly. He had an uncanny ability to depict human nature in all its forms, the noble, the ignoble, the beautiful, and the grotesque. He could weave tales that made people laugh heartily one moment and shed tears the next. His stories were not just a means of entertainment. They were a reflection of the world he saw around him and an exploration of the timeless truths of human nature. Moreover, Shakespeare's works transcended social boundaries. Whether it was a nobleman in the royal box or a commoner in the groundlings, everyone found something to relate to in his plays. His masterful manipulation of language, from the noble verse of the kings to the colloquial speech of the common people, made his plays accessible to all. The diversity of Shakespeare's plays, tragedies, comedies, and histories testifies to his creative versatility and his understanding of human nature. They cemented his reputation as one of the greatest playwrights in the English language and turned the Globe Theatre into a beacon of the London theatre scene. As we conclude this part, we delve deeper into the latter part of Shakespeare's career, a period that saw the penning of his last plays and a series of personal challenges. We will uncover the man behind the works, who, despite his fame and success, remained grounded, continuing to pour his heart and soul into every word he wrote. Shakespeare's legacy extends far beyond the Globe Theatre and the Elizabethan stage. It resonates through the very language we speak today. Shakespeare's work has profoundly shaped the English language, introducing new words and phrases that have become part of our everyday conversation. Shakespeare had an unparalleled knack for language, an intuitive understanding of its beauty, rhythm, and power. He didn't just use words, he crafted them, like a sculptor chiseling a marble block, creating a language that was as poetic as it was expressive. During his prolific career, Shakespeare added more than 1,000 words to the English language. He was an inventor of words, a linguistic innovator who seemed to pull new terms out of thin air. He coined words like uncomfortable, bedroom, and lonely, but he didn't just create new words, he also gave new meanings to existing ones. For instance, he was the first to use the word assassination. But Shakespeare's linguistic creativity didn't stop at words. He also crafted phrases and expressions that have stood the test of time. Sayings like "all's well that ends well," "good riddance," and "love is blind" were all Shakespearean creations. His plays are sprinkled with such nuggets, phrases that have seeped into our everyday language, often used without the speaker even knowing their origin. This linguistic legacy is a testament to Shakespeare's genius. He was a true master of the English language, who knew how to bend it, shape it, and make it dance to his tunes. His inventiveness with language not only enriched his plays, but also the English language itself. Moreover, Shakespeare's language was inclusive. Whether it was the poetic soliloquies of kings or the colloquial banter of commoners, he used language that resonated with all sections of society. This use of diverse linguistic styles brought his characters to life and made his stories accessible to everyone. In conclusion, Shakespeare's impact on the English language is profound. His linguistic innovations continue to resonate today, adding colour, vitality, and expressiveness to our conversations. The phrases he coined continue to encapsulate human emotions and experiences, reminding us of the timeless relevance of his work. As we end this chapter, we are left with a deep appreciation of Shakespeare's contribution, not just to the world of theatre, but also to the language we speak. And as we delve into the final stages of his life in the following chapter, we are reminded of the enduring legacy of this man from Stratford-upon-Avon, a legacy that lives on every time we speak or write in English. Chapter 5. The Final Acts. The beginning of the 17th century marked a new era not only for England, but also for William Shakespeare and his troupe. With the ascension of King James I to the throne, a wave of changes swept the nation, and the world of theatre was no exception. One such change was the transformation of the Lord Chamberlain's men into the King's men. When King James I came to power, he brought with him a deep love for theatre, seeing it as an essential part of his court's cultural life. Recognizing the talent and popularity of Shakespeare's troupe, he decided to become their patron, a decision that would significantly impact their future. Under the royal patronage, the Lord Chamberlain's men were renamed the King's men. This was a great honour, a seal of approval from the highest authority in the land. It gave them a sense of prestige and recognition, elevating them above other theatre troupes. With this change in status came also a change in fortune. The King's men were given a yearly allowance, a generous gesture that brought financial stability to the troupe. This allowed them to focus more on their craft, rather than worrying about their livelihood. They were also granted the privilege of performing more frequently at court, an opportunity that brought them closer to the social elites and amplified their popularity. With royal patronage, Shakespeare found himself in a unique position. He was no longer just a successful playwright. He was the playwright for the king. This gave him a larger audience and a wider platform to showcase his talent. It also meant that he had a direct influence on the court's culture and thought, a responsibility he didn't take lightly. Under the King's Men banner, Shakespeare produced some of his most renowned plays, including Macbeth, King Lear, and The Tempest. These works, with their intricate plots, compelling characters, and profound themes, reflected the changes happening in the society and the court. They showcased Shakespeare's ability to adapt his writing to the tastes and expectations of his royal audience without compromising his artistic integrity. The transition from the Lord Chamberlain's men to the King's men was a defining moment in Shakespeare's career. It marked a period of growth, recognition, and artistic maturity. As we delve deeper into this chapter, we will explore how this period shaped the final acts of his life and how his works from this time continue to resonate with audiences today. As the 17th century unfolded, William Shakespeare's pen, which had produced an unrivaled body of work, began to slow. The final years of his career saw him penning fewer plays, but these final works were no less impressive. They marked a shift in his style, moving away from the intense tragedies of his middle years towards a softer, more reflective tone. These are the plays that would mark the final act of his illustrious career in London before he chose to retire to Stratford. Plays from this period include the likes of Cymbeline, The Winter's Tale, and The Tempest, often referred to as his romances or tragicomedies. They combine elements of tragedy and comedy, darkness and light, in a way that creates a sense of resolution and harmony by the end. For instance, The Winter's Tale, which starts with intense jealousy and the disintegration of a family, ends with reconciliation and reunion. The Tempest, often thought to be the last play Shakespeare wrote alone, is considered by many as his farewell to the stage. Its protagonist, Prospero, a magician who controls the events of the play, chooses to give up his magic at the end. This act of relinquishing power has often been seen as a metaphor for Shakespeare's own decision to retire from the stage. Retirement for Shakespeare was not an end, but rather a return to his hometown of Stratford-upon-Avon. Here, he spent the last few years of his life, away from the hustle and bustle of London, away from the applause and the footlights of the Globe. He returned to the place where it all began, living out his days in the comfort of his home new place. Even in retirement, the Bard of Avon was not forgotten. His plays continued to be performed, his words continued to be spoken, and his influence continued to spread. He had left the stage, but his legacy was just beginning to take root. This phase of Shakespeare's life offers a glimpse into the man behind the playwright. It shows a man who, despite his unparalleled success and fame, chose to return to his roots, to the simplicity and quiet of his early life. As we delve deeper into the final chapter of this book, we will explore more about his life post-retirement, his death, and the legacy he left behind. The sun finally set on William Shakespeare's life on April 23, 1616. He was 52, a fairly considerable age for the time. The cause of his death remains unknown as there were no detailed records, feeding speculation and mystery that seems befitting for a man of such extraordinary talent and influence. In his will, Shakespeare, the wordsmith, left us with a final enigma. His second-best bed was bequeathed to his wife, Anne Hathaway. Scholars have since debated the meaning of this bequest, with some suggesting it was a slight and others positing it might have been their marital bed, hence of high sentimental value. In death, as in life, Shakespeare drew crowds. His funeral, held at the Holy Trinity Church in Stratford-upon-Avon, was a significant event, attended by family, friends, and admirers. He was laid to rest in the chancel of the church, an honour accorded to him due to his status as a prominent benefactor of the church. Despite his passing, the bard's words continued to echo on the stages of London and beyond. The King's men continued to perform his plays to enthusiastic audiences. In 1623, 7 years after his death, his colleagues John Heminges and Henry Condell published the first folio, a collected edition of Shakespeare's plays. This edition preserved his works for future generations and solidified his reputation as a literary giant. In the immediate years after his death, Shakespeare's influence on the English language, literature, and theatre remained profound. His plays were frequently performed, and his words were quoted, demonstrating the timeless appeal of his artistry. His narratives, characters, and themes continued to resonate, reflecting the human condition in all its complexity. Shakespeare's death marked the end of an era, but it was far from the end of his story. He left behind a legacy that transcended time and borders. His works continue to captivate audiences and inspire artists, confirming his place as one of the most influential figures in the world of literature and drama. As we move into the final chapter of this book, we will examine Shakespeare's enduring legacy, exploring how a boy from Stratford-upon-Avon came to be known as the greatest writer in the English language. The tale of his life may have drawn to a close, but the story of his influence is far from over. Chapter 6. The Immortal Bard. In life, William Shakespeare was a prolific playwright and a well-respected member of the London theatre scene. In death, his legacy took on a new dimension. The posthumous publication of his works was a significant factor in establishing his enduring reputation and influence. The most crucial of these publications was undoubtedly the First Folio, printed 7 years after Shakespeare's death. A folio refers to the size and format of the book, large and made by folding sheets of paper in half only once. This format was usually reserved for religious or scholarly texts, so using it for a collection of plays was a statement in itself, indicating the high regard in which Shakespeare's works were held. The First Folio was the brainchild of John Heminges and Henry Condell, Shakespeare's friends and fellow members of the King's Men. It was no small undertaking. Printing a folio was expensive and time-consuming. However, their dedication to preserving Shakespeare's works was unwavering. The First Folio contained 36 of Shakespeare's plays. Notably, it included 18 plays that had never been printed before, such as Macbeth, The Tempest, and Twelfth Night. Without this publication, these masterpieces might have been lost forever. This collection gave audiences and scholars the opportunity to read, analyze, and enjoy Shakespeare's plays. It also helped to standardize the texts, providing a reliable source for performance and study. However, the First Folio was not the only posthumous publication of Shakespeare's works. In the years that followed, other versions and editions were printed. These included the second, third, and fourth folios, each with their changes and additions. Despite errors and discrepancies between different editions, these posthumous publications played a crucial role in securing Shakespeare's literary legacy. They ensured his works were preserved and accessible, allowing future generations to experience his mastery over language, plot, and character. As we delve deeper into this final chapter, we will continue to explore how, through these publications, the boy from Stratford-upon-Avon became the immortal bard, captivating readers and audiences centuries after his death. The ripple effect of William Shakespeare's influence on literature and culture is immeasurable. His dramatic narratives, poetic brilliance, and keen understanding of human nature have deeply impacted storytelling traditions across the world, transcending language and cultural barriers. In English literature, Shakespeare's influence is seen in the works of numerous authors who came after him. From Charles Dickens, who used Shakespearean elements in his novels, to the Romantic poets like John Keats and Samuel Taylor Coleridge, who saw in Shakespeare a sublime genius to aspire to. Even in modern literature, authors such as Aldous Huxley and J.K. Rowling have quoted from or alluded to Shakespeare's works in their writings. His themes, characters, and quotes are so deeply ingrained in the fabric of English literature that they seem almost ubiquitous. But Shakespeare's impact was not limited to English literature alone. He inspired writers and artists worldwide, influencing other languages and cultures as well. In Russia, for instance, the great novelist and playwright Anton Chekhov admired Shakespeare's deep understanding of human nature. In France, the Romantics, including Victor Hugo, celebrated Shakespeare as a dramatic genius. Even in Japan, his plays have been adapted to traditional No and Kabuki styles. Shakespeare's influence on culture extends beyond literature. His plays have been adapted into countless films, TV series, operas, and ballets. From classic film adaptations, like Laurence Olivier's Hamlet, to more modern reinterpretations like West Side Story, a reimagining of Romeo and Juliet, or the cult classic film 10 Things I Hate About You, a modern adaptation of The Taming of the Shrew. Shakespeare's tales, themes, and characters have proven their timeless appeal and adaptability. Shakespeare has also profoundly influenced the English language itself. He is credited with inventing or first recording hundreds of words and phrases that we still use today, such as Heart of Gold, Wild Goose Chase, and Break the Ice. His poetic style, full of metaphors, similes, and vivid imagery, has set standards for English poetic expression. Shakespeare's influence on literature, culture, and language is as vast as it is deep. As we move forward in this chapter, we will look at how his legacy continues to be celebrated and studied, ensuring that his works continue to inspire and captivate generations to come. In the centuries that followed William Shakespeare's death, his influence and prestige did not wane but grew. Today, his legacy thrives in many ways: in classrooms, on stages, in film and literature, and in the everyday use of the English language. One of the most significant aspects of Shakespeare's legacy is the continued performance of his plays. Globally, his works are performed more frequently than those of any other playwright. The Royal Shakespeare Company in his hometown Stratford-upon-Avon, the Globe Theatre in London, and countless community theatres and school drama clubs worldwide keep his work alive through regular performances. Shakespearean festivals, such as the Oregon Shakespeare Festival in the United States or the Stratford Festival in Canada, attract thousands of spectators annually. Shakespeare's plays have also been adapted countless times for the silver screen, interpreted by various filmmakers and actors over the decades. From the silent film era to the present day, directors have been bringing their unique visions of Shakespeare's works to life, proving their timeless appeal and adaptability. These adaptations range from faithful renditions set in the original period to modern reinterpretations set in contemporary times, and even animated versions. Beyond the stage and screen, Shakespeare's works continue to inspire other art forms. Paintings, music, opera, ballet, literature, all have been imbued with the spirit of the bard. He is a recurring character in novels and films, a muse for artists, and a subject of countless scholarly studies. Furthermore, Shakespeare's influence pervades our everyday language. Phrases he coined have become so ingrained in English that many use them without even realizing their origin. Expressions like "all's well that ends well," "fair play," and "good riddance" all trace back to Shakespeare. In academia, the study of Shakespeare, known as Shakespearean scholarship, remains a vibrant and crucial subfield of English literature. Scholars continue to dissect his works, uncovering new interpretations and insights about the human condition. His life, too, is a subject of ongoing research, as scholars strive to fill in the gaps and better understand the man behind the plays. In conclusion, Shakespeare's legacy is a testament to his extraordinary talent and the universal appeal of his works. His influence on literature, theatre, language, and culture is unparalleled. More than 4 centuries after his death, we continue to celebrate, study, and be inspired by his remarkable body of work. William Shakespeare, the boy from Stratford-upon-Avon, indeed became the immortal bard, whose words continue to touch our hearts, stimulate our minds, and nourish our souls.